glad you guys are here today. Definitely recording, not live like last time. Figured out my mistake, and it was definitely my mistake. Let's get as we go in today's. You can see the name of this episode is Vatika, the goddess of the underworld. So we're gonna deep dive on Vatika, the goddess of the underworld. Who is she? Where was she from? Where was she located? Right? We're going to get into these things. Who was she? What was she? Whence did she go? Where did she come from? And whose breadcrumbs are all around her? This will be fun today. See, the reality of this is we really wake up and see the different dimensions, timeline splits, the this reality of, just be honest. The inmates run the asylum. This is what happens here. Uh, the God of the underworld, right? We talk about the God of this world mentioned in the New Testament, and then we get into Gnosticism. We start finding out about a character named Yada Baal, and how everything starts being connected to blood sacrifices. We went over this. We went into that place over there, what's really used to be ancient, um, ancient where Palestine is, and different places, Canaan, right, where the Canaanites resided from, right. So we're going to another area of some ancient stuff of that which appears to be power and appears to have control, right, as we start looking at different aspects of this. So we're going to definitely get into this today in a very, very powerful way. We're going to cover our bases. We're going to break down words. We're going to get into some. Actually, etymology doesn't have it. With this word, I can look it up again, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't. It goes into the word, into the basic foundation of the word. It will talk. It won't even mention Vatika. Vatika's Etruscan, and we'll get into that. Let's actually add this for a little bit. I want to show this. Definitely, please give and join our group and be able to give D-Boy West Coast Uncensored Cash App, Daniel Averill, and give as we give here. As I want to even expand and have some work done to my computer, so I can actually start holding my backgrounds better, because my computer's not strong enough. When I was blaming it on Riverside, I found out it really wasn't Riverside. It was a space and place I meant with my computer, which is, my computer's is not brand new. It's like 2017, 18, I think maybe even far back as 16. But it's a notebook 9. So anybody knows computers, oh, that's pretty old, because computers change every 6 months. There's always something in technology advancing, giving you supposedly something better, but we'll see about that. I don't buy that necessarily itself. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into what we're going to share today, and we're going to definitely share. Let me grab the glasses, and we are going to get into this share. Let me cancel this. I want to see one thing, if it's there, if I end this. Share again. What a presentation pops up. What's a presentation? Nothing doesn't pop up, okay? Presentation doesn't pop up, screen does. Okay. Let's get into this today. And we're getting into what the story is, and this is about Vatika, or Vatika with a K, or Vatika with a C, is a name associated purported in the Etruscan goddess of the underworld. Mostly scholarly sources indicate she is likely a modern myth or based on a non-scholarly interpretation. This is one time I'll tell the scholars I don't buy it because of its connection to a place that you all know. Watch. So let's talk about her legend. It could be, and it actually could be. Let's be honest here. It actually could be myth. And you go, how? We understand that old myth is not new myth. And let me make a better example for younger folks. I was watching a music breakdown of the other day of a band, and this was by some Gen Zs, and some of the language used in it it's classic rock is used in it, would be something they interpret as now, but this isn't what the words were interpreted as then, meaning when they use the term backdoor man today, modern thinking is something else compared to back then. The backdoor man just meant somebody actually coming through the back door, the woman cheating on her husband, boyfriend, using the man coming through the back door, not what it's used for now, right? And this also goes into the myth. When we talk about ancient myth, it was about a story that would give you something more of a truth if I told you the myth or the allegory, right? Follow me? Of it means more than whether it's even historical. This myth of whether this was true or just a legend or whatever is the same as Jesus. You go, huh? No. Jesus may not be historical. It's a story about the greater aspect of you and Christ in you. Now, do I believe there's characters similar to him? Yes, quite possibly. There's been a lot of types of this, and Buddhas, and whomever so that you would use in myth, like the sun god of December 21st, and the celebration of that sun god on December 21st through the 25th is not new to Christianity. It's way ancient because it's the myth of the sun gods that preceded it by different cultures. And there you go, the Roman culture of what is it, Solus Victus, the unconquered sun, meaning the sun always comes back even when it's conquered on December 21st when the sun has no movement and the sun stays in the same place. The ancients would call this, ever before there's a Christ story, the ancients would tell you that the sun was in the grave or in the tomb for 3 days and would come out again and have movement on the 25th. That's the same story as the 3 days in the tomb in the New Testament story. Same story. So whether it's a myth, but doesn't mean we still see churches. If Jesus isn't a little person, we still see churches. If Buddha wasn't a literal person, we still see temples. So to have this as a temples and what went on there makes sense with history and what myth is. This is a lot of time with the English language, its equivocality will try to throw you off base. When you understand equivocal language, it's designed to deceive you. Go look up the word. I have a video showing you exactly proving what the English language is equivocal and what equivocal languages were designed from the beginning, to deceive you and to keep the powerful power and the poor poor. Power grip. So what we have here in the Vatika story, she was a goddess of the underworld, meaning the lower realm, the hellish realm, who guided souls to the afterlife. The guardian of Necropolis, the cemetery located at the hillside where Vatican City stands today. That's why it makes sense that it's called Vatica, because they would do this. To me, this is common sense. Some and scholarly are looking for proof and evidence of stuff, but not know how to put sometimes the other side of the brain's not turned on to evaluate this stuff. So they'll say this, but her being called Vatica at Vatican it's kind of elementary, my dear Watson. It's pretty elementary for those who read and understand symbology and know etymology. It's not hard to see this, that Vatica and Vatican are the same. And right here in the story, it was located at the same place. Meaning there was temples, that's where that place was because these temples resided there. Watch. It's built upon them now. So, Necropolis Cemetery, located on the hillside where Vatican City complex stands today, which was outside the ancient city of Rome. The source of the name of Vatican Hill and subconsciously Vatican City State, associated with the bitter hallucinogenic grape or herb that grew on the hill, which produced prophetic visions that led to Latin word Vaticanor, or to prophesy. Very interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. And let's look at some of her symbols after we read this. We'll look at the images. Historical, scholarly perspective. They're saying they ain't found shit to prove it. Of course they wouldn't. This is where I start questioning who's doing this, who's looking, and who's saying what they found, because you don't want to rub the Vatican wrong when they're the daddy. That's the daddy. The Pope. The Pope, to me, is just like a pimp. Facts. Pimping you out with religion and indoctrination and dogma. There are no ancient sources that confirm the existence of the goddess name. Of course there's not, because there's no even real proof there was a Jesus, Moses, and David. None. Wakey, wakey, chicken bakies. Sorry about that. There are no ancient sources that confirm the existence of this god whose name Vatika, who ruled the underworld. I just read that. The name, they're saying it's not. There's no proof she lived. Well, like I said, there's no proof that Jesus isn't more than a story, whether you believe it or not. I'm not into your beliefs. What's the historical evidence? Because you don't really need it when you understand this is a story, a greater story about you. That's why allegorical things is very ancient and were used to tell you the story, and you would need a decoding connection to decode it. The name has been found in the vast majority of known Etruscan inscriptions. So this Vatica, which was at this place, has been found in vastly majority known to inscriptions. So it's been written there, whether they want to admit it or not, that's evidence. Alternative name origin. The name Vatican is most likely derived from the Latin word Vaticanus, a term linked to the oracle's prophecies or Latin word. Another possibility, the name came from the ancient. Yeah, it came from Vatica. It makes sense, totally. Known underworld deities. The Etruscans did have underworld deities such as Callias, Catha, Thanar. Those names are confirmed in inscriptions, but Vatica is not among the widely accepted historical pantheon. Yeah. Many detailed descriptions of Vatican and the underworld are considered modern interpretation of fiction, a possibility derived from the misinterpretations of Sistine secrets. In conclusion, while the name Vatican has pre-Christian, potentially Etruscan, why would they want to out the Vatican? They wouldn't. So remember, this is highly protected by a system or a matrix that will. Even though they'll tell you the truth, sometimes there's still a lot of lies in them. You can even find it in the AI. In conclusion, while the name Vatican has Vatica is likely a modern, non-scholarly concept. Oh yeah, here we go. What Etruscan deities are known besides the mythical Vatica? They're really trying to sell that she's not real, or she's not part of it. This is, to me, is also should be a sign to y'all what really is happening. When they say left, look left, you got to look right, and then totally go on it and put your head on the swivel. What are the places named after the Etruscan influence or Rome are mentioned? So let's look at some of the images. She's nowhere, but we see her everywhere. In this here, crazy, man. So here's some of her symbology. Vatica. Art form. Goddess of the underworld, helping you go associated with the underworld. The name also called Vaticanus or Vaginistus, later to mean the Latin vagina, that is female productive organ. Vatican, which has its own lands in Italy, takes its name from the goddess. So right here they're saying that the Vatican's named after her. After tried to tell you it wasn't. That's called the language deception at its best, at its finest. Uh, the equivocal language of English. I did a whole video on it. Go back and watch it. You can find it. And if they don't, let me know, because they do erase videos or delete them if it doesn't meet the protocol of stuff. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to check. I just heard today about another platform called Locals, which will really abide with your free speech. It's not totally against it, which protects more than, some, they don't like it, doesn't mean that they can just say, oh, your stuff, it breaks our records. Yeah, all that bullshit. What we see here. So we see she's got signs and symbols and images. And as we go into the images of her, right, um, we can see that they're all over Etruscan, Vatican. So this place is upon Rome. We know, if you don't know, some of the things that came out, we did a video showing the so-called Jesus resurrection after atomic bomb, which looks like just a serpent in the serpent room at the Vatican. We did a whole video on the serpent room. Go back and watch, where you would see the serpent room and how this looks, and how the actually art was very, very, like, definitely like this. They said atomic bomb, but it looked like hell. And when you see it, the guy who actually created this art piece for this room actually died from inhaling the chemicals he did his art with. Nice little sacrifice for him. And what we're finding out more and more, the confession of the underroom stuff that goes on with the Luciferianism, which actually priests and former Catholic priests have talked about that happened there, and even the sacrificing going on underworld underneath the Vatican. Underworld goddess, Vatika, the underworld. Hell, the underworld. And when I look at this world, this more and more seems like a type, copy, underworld thing of something, because nothing here ever becomes united. It's just the reality of the state of this place, right? And it seems that everything is in power here doesn't promote that. It promotes division. When you open up and you start seeing clearly, and you're not caught up and still not asleep, you start, these things are really fitting like a puzzle piece like never before to me. And I definitely believe that we are in a place to get on our P's and Q's and really have to balance ourselves with all of the stuff that we see is happening, from the divisions, from the racial idolatries, from the divisions, from the monies, from just division after division after division, showing us all the stuff coming on us, all the political stuff, all the propaganda that they're prepping us with. It's easy to hate them when you wake up, because realize what they are, or you got to get a balance within yourself to create within yourself to be the highest form of who you are. Because this is not a physical war. You say, what do you mean it's not a physical war? It's, your warfare is not carnal. It definitely isn't. You're fighting against principalities and powers in higher places, controlling fake higher realms, right? The 8 stages of realms of the demiurge, even proselyting and pretending. The Great Pretender. Isn't that an old song, The Great Pretender? Let's go and stop sharing. Let's go over here. Let's stop sharing here for this. We'll read something else here in a minute. So yeah, so we see Vatica is the goddess of the underworld, where it appears that the Vatican of Christianity and everything else is built to top on. It was actually a graveyard, a grave site. And we can see all the stuff that we're getting signs and symbols of, and is being seen and confessed, that we're getting underworld stuff, that the Vatican's totally in the underworld. And I just look at what they wear, and you can decode what they wear and realize this isn't some new religion. This is all order of Babylon, in their headdresses and different things from the fish head to everything they wear is definitely ancient knowledge transported from former religions to push an agenda using occultic lower frequency and underworld truth. This is what really I start watching videos on work on. Let's say I start watching a video on um, TikTok, or I start watching a video, excuse me, not TikTok, Instagram, and or even YouTube, and they keep leading with occult knowledge. Occult, they're practicing occult, and it drives me crazy because it's a misnomer. The word occultic or occult means hidden knowledge. It's not about the hidden knowledge, it's about the ones who have it, what they do for it. Do they do what's not best for you? Or do they give you the knowledge to set you free? That's the difference of it. Saying occultic knowledge is evil is really, 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 you're missing the boat. You're not there. You're saying something that's not the truth. The word occultic means hidden knowledge. The same meaning as a revelation is revealing that which is hidden, hidden knowledge. Occultic means hidden knowledge. Esoteric means hidden knowledge. And then when people say, oh, that's occultic, and they want to always deem it as is bad and evil because they have no knowledge themselves. And I see it all the time, and it really kind of like, ugh. It's like, can tell where they're coming from and where they're at, that really they don't know really fully what they're talking. They're one-sided, right? They're really one-sided and haven't got the other side. Choosing what they're going to do. Are you going to do and share to wake people up? Or are you going to manipulate them because you have mind control ways of using this magic to set people in mind control, and they start walking as zombies, which we see now, which I even shared on the last video of almost zombified. The people are willing to, even though they should know something's not good for them, but they're willing to still get it. And I'm like, is this NPC stuff? Are we seeing the Heidlichs, the Gnostics talk about in action now, walking around, not really invested because they don't have anything invested within them? They're just fill-inners and fill-in spaces in the reality or in the movie. They're not the main actors. They're just kind of the fill-ins, the propaganda, maybe even props. Maybe even props. Things that make you go, right? If I can say that again. But anyways, yeah, stuff's there. Stuff's happening. Stuff's real. And what is going on with this? But let's share something else. I got something very much to share. Another little writing about this. Let's go in and share. So when you see this, we have the word Vatican, and the word Vatican is connected. Even they ended up telling you it's connected to Vatika, the queen, the goddess of the underworld. And this is that's why they'll hide the feminine aspect from you, because it isn't them operating in a spiritual, higher knowledge feminine aspect. Because what we're seeing in the world today dresses itself up as, but is not. What we see in the world as feminism is really not feminine energy at its fullness of truth. It's indoctrination, clutter indoctrination, right? But also notice that the Vatican, the goddess of the underworld for death, and then you see it, and then you wonder why things in the underworld of the Vatican, because it's built upon the graveyard, the queen's temples, the queen being, the goddess's temples. Yeah. And notice that why it's still connected to Rome is the Vatican's where? In Italy? No, it's in Rome. It's Rome. It's the Roman, meaning keeping that old Roman system together, Catholic Church. Now we're going to get in the finances. So we got a word called VAT. The word named VAT, which is part of what connects the word Vatican, right? But it's meaning a tax applied to goods, services at stage of supply, chain, production, It's collected by businesses, remitted to the government, while it's paid by the final consumer. Tax is levied and value added by each business chain. Taxable, the VAT, the foundation of the word Vatican, is a broad-based tax consumption, meaning it applies to most goods and services. Multi-stage collection, it is collected at every step of production and distribution. This would go even into your maritime law system. This even goes into the birth certificates and all this stuff later. The manufacturer pays the VAT on materials they buy and charges a VAT on the finished product they sell. The retailer pays a VAT on the goods they purchase, and VAT actually means, let's see, I think I'll have to get this out of the way. Added tax and how it's calculated. What is a VAT? It's added tax. VAT, definition. Value added tax, that's the VAT. This, ladies and gentlemen, with religion, is exactly what paying your tithes is. Your tithes are you being taxed now for the product of your religion or your exoteric indoctrination placed near you. The whole thing with tithes and taxes, the VAT, Vatica, the Vatican, right, is the indoctrination of what that is indirect tax, meaning it is not directly levied on a person's income, but to the consumption of good. It goes into international and all that. We're here to break this down because one of the richest organizations, foundations in the world in religion is the Vatican. Every government, every leader will meet the Pope, doesn't matter where they are at, and kiss his hands and bow to him. Which really, when you start knowing symbology, what it's telling you is we bow down because he's the daddy of the world, of the governments, of the God of this world, right? New Testament scripture, the God of this world, is connected through this process of this organization. Told you we're going to get real today and we ain't going to play no games. It's time for us to know and wake up. I'm mind-blown in a certain sense that, and I also understand we go into when we live one life, we come back, we don't remember our last lives. We might start being given pieces of it, and we start even acknowledging that we learned this stuff in the past. We might even have some vision, have a little bit of insight, even kind of know and have some spiritual experience that lets us know about past lives. But we know that we go into full bore amnesia. And I believe a lot of the amnesia is recognized not as bad now as when we were little or smaller children, because children have said some things that made their parents go, what? What are you talking about? And there's stories of this all over. I've read them. I've looked at them where kids have said, hey, I used to live here, 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 and here, and I died in a fire. I used to live here, 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 and I was a woman. And then they're going around at 3-4 years old playing the piano like a freaking pro that was trained for decades. And they're like, man, they're just natural at this or playing an instrument. It's probably because they have this access from the last life. They're remembering. And then a lot of parents were wise enough to say, they keep saying this. Instead of me killing it, let's do the dads have actually went out and did the job of looking into what the children at a younger age, 3, 4, and 5 were saying about what they said they experienced in the past. And then many times they come back going, oh my God, everything they said about what happened here, that this hotel burned down. And they used to stay in room 44 at this apartment complex. And their name was Billy Barty. And then they check and they goes, in this year that they mentioned, Billy Barty did die in a fire. This is stuff that's been found out. This was a woman who lived there that was the neighbor of the person that you're talking about when they investigate, that this person said they were and they helped this woman, or whatever the case may be. It has been found out multiple times that the children at the younger age remember the past of coming in between the past life to the in between back to the physical realm. And they have a little remembrance, and the more and more the remembrance leaves, they forget because the amnesia increases. because then they're taught by a bunch of parents who are indoctrinated and have forgot themselves, was amnesia, as we're under the amnesia spell, and then we get all this indoctrination and programming that continues the amnesia going, and we think we're things we're not. We don't know who we are mostly as a collective. There's people breaking off from that who are waking up on different levels of degrees. Not everybody's on the same degrees of knowledge, right? They're not. In their awakening, they're not even on the same degrees. They are not on the same degrees. So we're seeing that even that is really connected to taxes. No wonder they call pay your tithes or you're going to be cursed. Going with Yadabaoth's religion, which we know we've already went over there talking about. I don't have to call it out. You know what I mean. We did this here. And this one, who correlated saying one's an Old Testament. Now we're in Rome, the Vatican bringing in the New Testament once we got power and we got their scribes to write our books because we made them. And now we're creating this one, even though that old religion does not believe in this new religion, but they tried to make us believe that it was one. Hence, you got Rome, the Vatican, created on the goddess of the underworld's placement of what this tomb or temple probably was, and definitely where people were burial grounds. And we even find it's connected to the taxing. The taxing is what your guys think is tithing, to give 10% of your money to somebody who don't even give you any truth that's worth a thimbleful. They give you about as much truth as a thimbleful. A rotten Simulac, 40 years in dogma, indoctrination church, drinking rotten Simulac, having physical, spiritual retardation because you ain't grown to nothing in 40 years. I've seen it. I know what I'm talking about. Came out of the stuff. It's horrible. But showing you what the God of this world's created, which we'd call the demiurge. So we start seeing holes in the stories of history. They give us a holy book, which it's one thing it does have. It has a lot of holes in it, especially historical. It has a lot of holes in it. A lot of things have been changed, and people are going around. This is the Word of God, without a doubt. And it's been given, and man has written it and manipulated it, and powers of government that won wars, had scribes write new things, add things to. Come on now. It's common sense. But as we find these days, not many common sense is not too common. Would that be right? Common sense isn't too common. Common sense isn't too common. Common sense isn't too common. Let me see here. So back here, look at this. I still got my background. I'm surprised because this background usually is not there. So let me do something. I'm going to add one more thing and see if it pops up. I've seen it earlier. I tried to save it, but no, it's going to be too hard to find. I was going to look for something that I don't know that I can find it because I didn't remember the video, but it was really something that talks about the Vatican being built on a goddess tomb of the underworld, Vatika. When I seen that, I was like, oh, yes. I mean, so when we start looking at this stuff, the foundations of certain things of religion, we're finding out more and more it's murky waters. It's the foundation of it is really not a foundation. The foundation is deceit in indoctrination. Honesty. And if you're coming here for looking for doctrine and you want to argue and fight, ain't the place to be, because I don't play that on my channel. This is for them who've woken up, who want more. And if you woke up and want more in your beginning and you're open, stay here. But if you're coming here in indoctrination with your boogie woogie and a company B still, it's not the place for you. It's not. It's for them who have awakened and who are awakening, accepting they like something more to this than meets the eye. And there's something more. This goes with another thing that we that I had mentioned in the fourth. The name of the word church goes hand in hand with this. The word church is the goddess Ceres. Was it Ceres? Which is Kirk. It goes from church English. Kirk is the word in um, Scottish. And then it goes into the Roman goddess Ceres. Ceres? Ceres? No, it's not Ceres. Ceres, which it was a goddess who brought men into the building and then put them in a spell, and they would then eat themselves or eat others. So the goddess, or the underworld, another underworld goddess, a witch named Ceres, is actually the word church. You go, oh no, oh yes. I know you're messing with your doctrine, but that's what I'm here for. Because I'm here to blow up your doctrines. If you still hold that. Those who are awake ain't holding that. They woke up from that. Like I said, my pastor used to use the word back in the day. My apostolic pastor called it Tommy Rut when it wasn't true. Tommy Rut. So this god of the underworld, goddess, would put men under spell by, what was it, feeding them pigs. And then they would feed them, put them under the spell, and they would turn into pigs. Think about it with the Abrahamic religion of what a pig is. Meaning the men, it would be called an unclean thing, right? Not to consume. And two-thirds of two-thirds of Abrahamic religions do not eat pork. Only the Christians do, right? And I'm not saying yea or nay. I don't think it makes you righteous or unrighteous to eat it. It just may not be good to. But I'm finding out physically it creates more parasites in your body by eating pork. And that's a whole thing that we may get into very soon. Is the Archon's connection to this, the God of this world, and a system of religion and politics and the organization of these things, and the aspect of, are your thoughts you, or are your thoughts a parasite? One more time. Are your thoughts you? Or are your thoughts actually, where are they coming from? And like I mentioned on the video recently, your default systems? Are you being led, or do you fall on the parasitical? This parasites within mind, not just physical gut, but in your mind, and think about this, your gut is even called a brain. These parasites, what are they doing? Devouring within? The archons, who to me are a foundation of parasites and all in themselves, create a system of politics, religion, and all the systems, entertainment, and all these things to keep us in a sleepy, defaulted mindset and not knowing who we are, with even things called education systems, which are miseducation systems, are very much a weapon used against you as who you really are. And all this has a form of parasites. My next video may be on the archons and parasites. But this, what we talked about today, definitely, what is the name of the, I got to look this up now real quick for you guys before we end this episode. Because I know I did it. They may give me her Greek. Siri. Siri. A wicked witch. She's most dangerous. Magic is when she used to punish the offended her, those who offended her. She's enchantress of Helios. It's actually a story. And she turns the men into pigs. And her name is the foundation, etymology, foundation of the word church. Siri. I did a video on it, just touching this, how this really all goes together. Seriously. In the etymology, see, it tries to do its little magic on me. It tries to tell me it's not, but then tells me it is. That's the equivocal language. When you understand this little decode, this is a foundation for all you guys are starting to decode and learn this. When you look at the word equivocal and you look up something and it tells you and you're thinking, oh, they're telling me it's not, keep reading because it will tell you it is, because that's what equivocal language does. It tries to deceive you. It's like, this is how we do it with one another. Hey, Danny, Daniel, D-Boy, would you want to meet me at dinner tonight? Um, I don't know, maybe. And we leave it at that. I didn't tell you yay or nay. You really don't know if I am or not. Somewhat, maybe not intended by the heart, but by programming, almost deceptive. It is deceptive, but you may not be doing it with the intent to be deceptive because you're under the spell of using the language. When I could have said, hey, I have an appointment earlier and an earlier time, I may not be able to make it because I got something else going on, would be a more honest way to say it. But equivocal language drives us into, I might, possibly, and the person really goes away saying, and we accept this because we don't know what the language is. You didn't tell me yes or no. You didn't answer my question, actually. I have to text you back later and ask you if you're going to go because you really just gave me a, a bullshit answer. Let me just be honest. So, yeah. So they try to hide its church, but it is. Actually, if you go back and look at some other things, you can deeper dive and you can find it. Actually, a lot of stuff they are trying to hide more and more. And notice, I even noticed the etymology. I'm like, why are you not saying what the etymology book said 7 years ago? You've changed. So this is their website. If you have an old etymology book, it probably would still be in there. But you guys have a great day. Today's episode, Vatika, the goddess of the underworld, and you guys have a great day.